So yeah, firstly, welcome to our story. Um, as mentioned, we're a family design studio, but we're twin brothers. Myself and my twin Bradley, we're the co-founders. We're of Danish heritage, hence the name Jensen, or as my Danish side would pronounce Jensen. So we're half Danish and half St. Lucian. Being twin brothers, unfortunately, Bradley couldn't be here today, so I'm happy to say that I am the far better looking twin out of the both of us. But we really grew up in what was quite a mixed household. Our mother is St. Lucian. That's where we get our level of vibrancy from. Our father being Danish, that level of kind of professionalism, but also our mother was profoundly deaf from birth. So actually, we grew up in an environment where actually representation really mattered, but also inclusion mattered. Really understanding the importance of coming from being a child of a deaf adult, a coder, really enabled us to understand the importance of communication. You can imagine being two young boys, maybe being 5, 6 years old, trying to either return a DVD player in blue water or going to the doctors in something a little bit more serious and having to explain in complex detail a message from the doctors to your mother. So from a very young age, and it's something that we only recently reflected on, it's a bit of a superpower. Have really understood the importance of, kind of narrative storytelling, and also taking information and extracting the most important bits from that and articulating that in a very coherent way. We grew up in London. We then ended up going to a boarding school in Birmingham. For anyone asking, it was not like Hogwarts, although that was the pitch that I got from my dad. And as a result, we were mixing with a bunch of different people from all different backgrounds, all different races, nationalities, people that are international. And really what we learned within going to a school like that was actually, again, the kind of art of interpersonal skills and great interpersonal skills as well. Once we left school, as you do, you kind of split off, you go to university. But school, like everyone always refers back to the kind of the Alan Sugar style sweet selling. And that very much happened within a boarding school. You can imagine packs of noodles are a high currency there. But that was really where we kind of started our entrepreneurial traits. We left, we went to university. I went to Liverpool, studied marketing. Bradley went to Leeds and studied advertising. And afterwards, I moved to Leeds to join Diageo, the alcohol company. I was there for a couple of years. And then Brad and I decided to have our first crack at the whip of entrepreneurship. So this was prior to Jensen Jensen. And the first business we set up was a business called For Fork's Sake, which was a great name. And it was a food marketing agency. And we kind of covered 3 core areas. We covered kind of the social aspects within food, so content marketing and events, the environmental aspect within food, so how can we reduce food wastage, and then the financial aspect, how can we work with restaurants to increase revenue and increase the amount of footfall during quiet hours. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is this really was our first chance at trying to launch a business, and we didn't know what we were doing at all. We were going out there and we were trying absolutely everything, but we welcomed that challenge with gusto. And actually what transpired was we were able to raise a little bit of money on that business. But like most entrepreneurs do when they first raise a bit of cash, is they put it all into the wrong thing. And we actually ended up putting all of this capital that we raised. It wasn't a lot. It was about £25,000. We put all of it into this large tech platform that we couldn't even run, and was too monolithic and too overpowering for 2 young guys from London trying to build the next Just Eat. But really what transpired was actually, we had gone out there and we had attempted to create revenue. And the way we had done that was by creating events or filming marketing videos or filming content for restaurants. And that really started to transpire actually, 1, where was our passion and what did we thoroughly enjoy? And 2, what were we great at? And it really came down to the creative aspect. Obviously, COVID came and COVID hit. And unfortunately for a lot of businesses, particularly in the hospitality sector, they really went through a down period and a downturn. And we were actually one of those businesses. During that period, we had a decision to make. What do we want to do? We enjoyed working with each other. I think, being twin brothers, you're always constantly fighting to be apart and build your own identity. And yet we felt this kind of need to continue to work together and build something a little bit bigger than us and bigger than the Jensen name. So the year before COVID, we had a number of people approach us saying, "Hey guys, look, we love what you've done on For Fork's Sake. I have a recruitment agency. Would you be interested in doing some marketing for me?" Now, initially, it was kind of, sling your hook. If you'd have a greasy burger truck, then we're definitely not interested. But I think after the fifth person approached you and actually wanting to pay you, you start to listen a little bit more. And that's where Jensen Jensen was born. So Jensen Jensen initially started as a full service agency. And I think, like most people do, particularly within the agency sector, is you kind of start off saying, cool, I'm going to do a little bit of everything. And we started off by doing, social media and websites and branding and design and content and events and social. And again, very similar to the For Fork's Sake business, quickly transpired that there's some things that we were okay at and there were some things that we were great at. And across the last 2 years, really what we focus on is now refining our services. And I think the kind of analogy is to focus primarily on depth compared to width. And it's very easy to focus on width initially because you want to try service everything and anyone. But actually focusing on depth is really, the key for longevity. So as I mentioned here, we operate globally and we really provide services across production, branding, design, and web design as well. For us, our main ethos is we want to reject a one-size-fits-all method. And the reason we do that is we feel that actually, particularly when it comes to creative, cookie cutter creative doesn't cut it. And what we want to do is we want to be able to leverage our experience, but also the network of the great talent that we work with as well. So our model is we use a associate model as such. That's probably a nicer way of saying kind of freelancer model. But these aren't people that we find off, people per hour or a Fiverr. These are individuals, very talented individuals that we've been working with across the last 5 to 6 years. And it's great because it enables us to leverage their experience. And what we do is we build out bespoke pods, bespoke teams, and really put together these teams directly for our clients and enables them, one, to manage resource effectively so that we're not overbilling or overcharging. But two, if you're a luxury real estate brand, you get a luxury real estate designer and you get a strategist. If you're a high jewelry brand, then you get people who have worked within, the ultra high net worth individuals and that sector as well. And that's really how we focus and build our business and build our model. Our main ethos within Jensen Jensen is to position brands as category leaders. And I think that's the beautiful thing about branding is you get the opportunity to do so. A business that is 1 week old or 10 years old, with the correct branding, with the correct positioning, they can be seen and viewed as a category leader. Now, we've had a very interesting run across the last couple of years. Last year was a fantastic year for us. Somehow, these two boys were able to be nominated and scoop up a couple of awards. It's always weird within the marketing world. Awards are something that I'm not very keen on. I feel there's a lot of kind of underhand red envelopes going about. I can proudly say there was none of that for us, but we were finalists at the Founder Vine Change Makers Awards last year. We were also finalists, probably for the biggest one, at the British Black Business Awards for Entrepreneurs of the Year. Stephen Bartlett, for example, was an individual that had won that previously against some really fierce competition as well. And that was fantastic to be recognized. We actually won the Black Talent Awards in 2023, and we were also independent agency to watch, voted by Prolific North. And we've been featured across a number of different publishers as well. So it's been a really great year. And I think, the main thing for us is that we have a great story that we love to tell. We love to talk about heritage. We love to talk about, our mother, our upbringing. And we love to bring something a little bit different to the agency landscape. And I think, these awards just enabled us to have a little bit of a gusto, a little bit of wind behind ourselves, but it also really enabled us to have the confidence to continue doing what we're doing, and you kind of share our story and really try to lower the ladder for people that come after us. So it's a little bit of background on Bradley and I. Now, as mentioned, We're award winning, and I'm happy to say that now, but we're award winning family agency, and we really boast a great portfolio across a number of different sectors. Across the years, we've worked with some fantastic brands, and the two types of clients that we typically service are your kind of larger and more well-known clients, and then the other side of it are clients that are kind of startups. And I think the beautiful thing about this, and one thing that Bradley and I often discuss is, kind of coming from a business owner perspective, coming from an entrepreneur perspective, there's that level of empathy that we have, and we kind of understand exactly what's required when you're starting out. There's nothing better than taking a brand for an entrepreneur that's on a scrappy piece of paper, and kind of giving that, as we call it, a facelift, and seeing their reaction afterwards, and seeing how their brand can be viewed and also be positioned as well. Across the years, we've delivered about 67 projects, probably more now. And we've worked with some great clients, kind of Crown Estate on some real estate, a lot of real estate work. We did a lot of work with the Mayor of London, actually launching a project called Minority Business Matters, which helps focus and helps drive resource for minority business owners. MSD UK, again, Minority Suppliers Diversity UK. We did some great work with Manchester City for one of their youth clubs, creating sales collateral. And then probably one of our largest clients and most active clients is David Morris, the luxury family jeweler, span across 3 generations, very well known for their work within the Bond franchise. So Diamonds Are Forever, that song is actually named after their craftsmanship. And with David Morris, it's always a challenge, but it's always a pleasure to work with them. As they are a family business as well, there's a level of affinity there that we have. But also, it's our job to really try put the Jensen touch, but also try give brands like David Morris what I would describe as the modern representation of Britain today. So how do we do that? We go about making sure that we use kind of representation within their campaigns, within their models, and making sure that we're using the type of language that is appealing to people today. There's been a massive shift, I suppose, in kind of modern day wealth. More younger people are becoming wealthier, and actually, we want to work with a brand to help communicate that and make the brand feel more accessible. But overall, our 2 things that we focus on is really, creativity and culture. For us, and Brad's favorite phrase is "culture is a zeitgeist that permeates everything," and it really does. Culture influences everything that we do, the way we talk, the way that we dress, the way that we present ourselves. So for us, it was really about presenting Jensen Jensen as a youthful brand, but one that represents quality, represents kind of accessibility, but also represents creativity. Bradley and I, we both come from a creative background, but for us, it's important to really harness into our superpowers. What can we do, and how can we empower our team? I'm not a designer. I'm not a web developer. I'm not a videographer. My team often remind me of this. But what we have is we have a great eye for creativity, and we're very focused on strategy. And our job is to, one, employ the best talent that we can and put that forward for our clients. But 2, also ensure that everything that goes out has a Jensen Jensen touch. So, what is our kind of core philosophy? Our core philosophy really is that some brands are for the here and now, while some brands are built to stand the test of time. And we truly believe that, work with Jensen Jensen, that the best can do both. And the reason we mean this is we work with brands that have been going for 10, 20, 30 years, and you would often say, okay, well, they've been going so long, they've been very successful, why do they need to change, or why do they need to reinvest back into the brand? And probably the most important thing, and probably one thing I'd say, is when we were actually at a jewelry show, is a very common theme within the jewelry industry. The jewelers, they focus on sourcing the gemstones and selling them, which is great. But actually, it's such an important moment for someone to buy, a precious ring, or a white gold diamond ring for their spouse. Actually, what you want to do is you want to be able to focus on the level of advocacy that you create, and that's what the best brands do. Is they create a level of emotion, and they allow your consumers or your customers to do the heavy lifting for you. I often use an analogy of when it comes to branding, everyone views it like an iceberg. They're always concerned about what's the tip of the iceberg, and that is often the visual stuff, typically, something like your logo. Well, actually, the stuff you should really be concerned about is the stuff that sits below the water. And that's really about your story. It's about the things that are going to make you tick, what separates you from everyone else, and what enables your consumers to really get behind your brand and have that level of advocacy. So when we work with, jewelry brands, our most important thing is to bring it right back to the start. And when we do that, we're able to kind of understand, what their setbacks, what their lessons they've learned, what separates them more from just say kind of functional perspective or actual visual perspective, but what makes that brand so special. And we really like to bring out those core values. And it's great because, we're always able to typically link it back to Jensen Jensen. And our kind of core values is, family values. We really pride ourselves on innovation. And on the back end, really pride ourselves on excellence in service delivery. And I think a lot of businesses can relate, and a lot of businesses want to do that as well. So there's always something that you can bring it back to the brand. So I'll just go into the types of services that we offer and what we don't do. And this is going full circle really. As I mentioned when we first started, we were a little bit of a I forgot what the phrase is. One man band, not one man band, but we basically serviced everything. And you spin too many plates and a couple plates are going to fall. And I think it's always important to, people say follow your passion and whatnot, but definitely don't neglect what you're amazing at or what you're great at. And for us, that came across anything that was creative, and that was really where our focus or our passion was. So the main thing that we typically start on and our kind of journey with clients is always an interesting one. A lot of agencies, a lot of businesses have more kind of ongoing activity, and that's great. For us, often it's quite fixed. So it's almost like seeing your child grow up and then send them off to school, or for me, boarding school. But we typically start on the kind of brand identity and positioning piece. So as I mentioned, this is either starting completely from scratch, or often we're kind of burning the house down again, rebuilding, or we're just painting the walls. And what we like to do is we really like to focus when working with our clients on the visual identity, but we also want to really see below the floorboards what makes them tick. So we do a lot of work across brand strategy and also key messaging. We do something called a brand positioning statement. And this really helps build a framework and architecture for our brands. And it means that every aspect of a brand can be challenged, every aspect can be questioned, and every aspect has an answer and a response to that. And I think that's something that's really powerful, particularly for entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, is to give them confidence within their own brand, and give them confidence when they are going out there, maybe to events or pitching or what it might be, that they're able to have the quality and the confidence to communicate what their name means. Why did they choose those colors, even down to potentially the font. All of those little nuances are the things that really stick with people. And going back to what I said about kind of the advocacy piece, they're often the bits that people remember about the brand. So within the brand identity and positioning, we look at things such as brand positioning, animation. We do a lot of editorial work as well, print design, illustration. We do some fantastic illustration work, and we're really happy to work with some extremely talented people across that board. Advertising campaigns. We do a lot of marketing collateral, which is personally for me my favorite, even though my team says it's the most boring, but I love it. Building annual reports and whatnot. We do a lot of packaging design, and then obviously on the back end, kind of copywriting. The quote at the bottom is something that's really important, and we put that in there because we feel that it helps to articulate why design is important. And a lot of people, they always want to know the kind of metrics of design, and it's a difficult one, compared to digital marketing, where you have analytics are the bread and butter, and often the justification for maybe increased spend. With creative, it's always different, and it's always difficult because creative is often very subjective, and there are ways of measuring kind of analytics of creative, but often it's more about emotional feel. And the way that we communicate it is that design is the silent ambassador of your brand. It is the silent worker that when you're sleeping, it's out there promoting and shouting at the hilltops. And I think it's really important that you don't neglect that. your website is one of the most valuable pieces of real estate you'll own. And when people are viewing your website, you're not there to say, actually, hey, click on this page, or hey, come look at this page. They will do their own due diligence. They'll go off and find what they want to look at. So I think design really plays a massive part in helping articulate what you want to get across, and doing that in a very confident manner. The second bit is production content capture, and we love the production side, and we kind of do two sides of production. There's either a big kind of campaign-based production, so we did a very large campaign for David Morris, where we flew out to Paris. We flew in some models, videographers from across the globe. We had Charlotte Tilbury fly in and actually do the makeup. It was a fantastic shoot, and that was a 4-day production for one of their global campaigns. And then on the flip side, we do kind of smaller content as well. So this may be smaller pieces of social media content. It may be kind of interviews with maybe events or agency owners or teams or whatnot. But we cover a large proportion of the kind of content capture side. So it's a video production, event coverage, special effects, conceptual storytelling, and that's a lot of the stuff. The kind of storytelling, art direction, and the production side massively comes from Brady and I. We kind of steer that. It's probably the one time where we do start to butt heads is when art direction is involved, but that's okay. Storyboarding, a lot of drone work, socially design, and then traditional content creation. And then the last bucket is web design and development. I think everyone knows what that is, but we really were initially going to drop it, but actually we decided to keep web design and development because, as I mentioned about, it's kind of like your child going to school. Once you've built a rapport with a client, particularly when you're going through the brand identity and positioning phase, and that's a phase where you're spending so much time with the client because actually, the brand identity and the positioning often is drawn out from the entrepreneur themselves, and you've built that rapport. Then they often don't want anyone else to touch their website, and then we get drafted in. So we do a lot of web design and development. We work across a number of different platforms, so WordPress, Shopify, C++, Webflow. Most of the platforms, most of the languages we write and develop in, our main buckets is kind of Webflow and WordPress, but we're pretty confident across the board with that. But the main things that we don't offer, and these are areas in where we always look for partnerships, and agency partnerships and entrepreneur partnerships, because we get inquiries for this often, and we can't service it, and it's always great to be able to have someone that you can build with confidence. So that's social media, email marketing, paid advertising, things like SEO, PR, definitely influencer management. I had my crack at that, and I probably won't be returning to that game again. App development, lead generation, and then community management as well. So there are services, and that's typically what we're known for. But our main kind of kicker is really the brand identity and design phase. So looking into some of the projects and some of the stuff that we've done across our web development phase. Some great projects here, and some ones that are really important to us. We always try to work with as many minority businesses as possible. We think that's very important. For Brady and I, we built the business up in Leeds, and then during COVID, we moved back down to London. But when we were up in Leeds, we didn't really feel that representation. And actually, I feel that when you're starting out, you need all the help you can get. And always you need to have a level of empathy and kind of relatability to your struggle. And sometimes it's not as obvious. And sometimes for entrepreneurs, the smaller nuances are one of the most important things. So starting from the one in the middle on the right with the red, that is Minority Business Matters. So that was a large project for the Mayor of London. We built the full brand and a website for them in under 4 weeks, which is kind of unheard of. My team will probably kill me for saying that we did that, and they'll say we can't do that again, but we probably can. But that was a great project that also involved a large amount of event collateral that we built. So banners, they did a large event at the Hilton Hotel in London. The one underneath is for MSD UK, so within a similar kind of ilk. To the left is a dating app that is soon to be launching, Sliding Doors. And the one above that is personally one of my favorite projects, one of our more recent ones, which is Edmund Services, which is a luxury facilities management company. Now, I should say that the main clients that we service primarily is within the luxury sector. But we also do quite a lot of kind of governmental stuff and kind of corporate work as well. My background is within luxury real estate. So I've consulted with a number of different large agencies across this, and Bradley's is more in the production side. So for me, a large challenge for me this year and into next year is to really make us a defined player within real estate. We've done some great work across a number of very large clients across, the kind of Crown Estate. I've done some work with the Hyatt Group as well, and Edmonds is one of our more recent projects. Across brand identity and positioning. So yeah, a real mixed bag here. This is always fun. It's always great to also show, the real range of the work that you can do here. So, example, one of the brochures that we did for Man City. Top left, Burberry was a private event for Burberry that they held in Aspen. To the right of that, the can is a great entrepreneur called Talani, who's launched a brand called Chapman's of London. Chapman's is a very well-known drink in Nigeria. It's a non-alcoholic drink. She wanted the brand to represent London, but also have that kind of heritage background of Nigeria. So we created the full brand, the full product rollout. The bottom right was a illustration for David Morris, and there's some updated ones as well for Christmas cards. And to the left is some wall signage. So some wall signage and design work that we did for a business based in Leicester as well, called the Housing Network. And then the kind of glossy bit. This is always the kind of sexy slide, as we say, but the production content capture, for us, it's about evoking, kind of compelling storytelling and content that can sit across all forms of mediums. So, we want stuff that's going to be able to sit on printed, large outdoor banners, large out of home work on the website, on the phone. So real range of work here. So starting from the top right, the famous watch brand Richard Mille, we did a number of pieces for their only reseller in the world, 91, which is based in London. So it's the only official Richard Mille reseller, and that's based in London. So we did a number of pieces with them, and the CEO's daughter, Tilly Harrison, who's the global services director, and that was great. You're handling kind of watches that no one has any business handling, and kind of 100 to 300,000 pound watches, and you're kind of filming them, and then to see their reaction, it's always great to see. They're used to seeing that, but when they see the content back and they're very happy, it always makes me proud. To the left, the guy with the amazing back is a brand called Chevron. So that was a muscle percussion brand. We did a lot of work within the sports industry. So Chevron and MyFit, two e-commerce brands. We created some stunning videos for them. And then the two underneath, absolutely stunning work. This is some work that we did with David Morris. The Grace, the model there was a mixed race model. This was for actually part of their bridal campaign. We wanted to push a boat out. As I mentioned, that kind of modern representation of Britain, a more contemporary but refined look, using someone with maybe a shaved head instead of kind of wedding dresses. We use kind of shorter skirts and trousers, but creating this very kind of 3D look of this pirouette bangle. And having that kind of floating around her, and this is obviously a still image that was used in their windows, but also across magazine and print. And then to the right of that is actually some BTS footage, so BTS photography that we shot, and all of that photography has just been published into one of their brand books. So that's been great to see. And David Morris has been an excellent client for us, and really given us an opportunity to work deeper into that field. The thing I'll say is, when you're working with brands such as David Morris, they are, your kind of legacy diamond high jewelry brands. Competitors are your kind of Boodles, your Graphs, etc. And it's always interesting. It's always there's always three generations. The grandfathers started it, back in the 60s or the 70s. The sons taken over, but the grandfathers, probably played golf in the 80s, had a bet falling out, and now the brands don't talk to each other, and they're all just silently competing through content and through marketing. So it's great for us, and it's always amazing to try push the boat out for them. So just a quote from David Morris. But I think really for us, our main thing is that we pride ourselves on a collaboration, and really having a modern approach to our work and how we want to work with our brands. I think for us, it is coming from that business owner perspective. It is, what do we want from an agency? What do we want from a partner? And that is, absolute creativity. You're hired to be the creatives and give us ideas that we can't conceptualize ourselves. We want a really great service offering and a quality of service offering. I think communication is perfect. Are you able to manage a resource effectively, manage budgets and time effectively? And also, are you able to push the boat out that actually, you're going to inspire us to start thinking about other things? And I think, with David Morris, we are constantly coming up with ideas for them. And I'm happy to say they're very receptive for that. To something that started out with maybe a bridal campaign, we can then push out to kind of maybe event invites, and let's look at digital event invites and video event invites and whatnot. And I think that's, one thing of being within the agency sector is, constantly try push your parameters. Try push for, yes, you're pushing for more work, but try add value as and where you can. I think that's the same within any business, but really try to articulate additional value and additional things that can work for your clients, and 9 times out of 10 they'll be exceptionally happy to do so. Bear with me 1 second. I just need to, hay fever season's upon us, so bear with me 1 second. There we go, better. Okay. Can everyone still hear me? Sorry, I can't hear anyone, by the way. So I'm kind of freestyling. I'm talking to myself, but I can't hear anyone else, but that's okay.
No worries, Miles. No, we can all still hear you still.
Okay, cool. Amazing. So this is a little bit of, for Brad and I, it's, we have a team of 5, and we have this network of kind of individuals that we work with. So this network of people across the globe, and across different skill sets, from content designers, copywriters, whatever it may be. And we have this, large roster of kind of these Avengers that we pull together. But we're always looking for opportunities to collaborate. And I think, as a business owner, you always want to either try pass on a client to someone trusted. You always want to make sure that the clients are in really good hands. So we kind of consider three areas, and we always want to make it very easy for our clients and for potentially agencies as well to work with us. And that's very much part of the reason as to why I'm here now this Friday morning. But we look at initially, okay, well, can we outsource certain aspects that we don't do? These are to trusted agencies, and that really helps us. It helps us, one, build a rapport with an agency. It helps our client have the confidence that, okay, cool, I understand how Miles and Bradley work. If these guys have faith and have done a due diligence within this agency, then I'm happy to go with them. The second one is kind of partnered. So can we partner with agencies in certain bits? And we love this. I think the most important thing when it comes to this is, understanding that kind of responsibility split. And that comes back to your basics of, great communication, great understanding of managing resource and responsibilities. And actually, we've had some really, really great projects go live and achieve some great stuff by collaborating and partnering with other agencies. And then the last one, which, we're not too I think it's kind of dying down a little bit more, and it depends on the client. But kind of white labeling, are we able to either provide agency services on a Jensen Jensen or vice versa? We're happy to be white labeled. On the flip side, we often don't white label because it's so clear on the things that we don't do that it doesn't really make sense. But that's typically how we collaborate and work with others. So yeah, it's good. Brady and I, we work well with others, which is always good. And just a bit of overview. You've always got to chuck in a couple of baby photos to always. But really, for us, what are we about? It's about captivating the world, through our story, through our work, embracing inclusion, growing up, being mixed race, growing up with a deaf mother, going to living in different places from kind of London to Birmingham to Liverpool to Leeds and back down to London, you really understand the importance of inclusion, and diversity matters and diversity wins. And there's always that level of diversity that you bring into your work. And I think it's important to get that straight from the source. We want to be able to benefit our clients, and I think that goes as far as, even if we can't service them, how can we benefit them in other ways? Can we open them up to our network? Can we open them up to individuals that might be, dare I say, better than us in certain things that they're looking for? And I think that's always the level of service quality that we try to go to. And then finally, shaping the future. That's shaping our own future. That's shaping the future of our team. That's shaping the future of those that come after us. That's shaping the future of our clients and their brands, and almost future-proofing their brands by doing that due diligence and then doing that hard work that comes with branding. And I think really for us, when it's all said and done, we just want to be known as the two guys with the last name Jensen that came into this world. Came into his marketing, came into his world, it's a bit dramatic, but came into his marketing industry, and really tried to mold it and shape it for what it is and